If you're buying your first home in Ontario, the sale price isn't the only price that you pay. In fact, most people only plan for the down payment but completely forget about the rest. And these are fees that can cost you thousands of dollars, and they can completely ruin your finances if you're not prepared for them. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably don't like your finances being ruined, and I want to help you avoid that. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the real cost of buying a home in Ontario. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you the full list in an easy to save format so that you can refer back to it later when you're making your budget. My name is Steve. I'm a real estate agent in Hamilton, Ontario, and it's my job to educate home buyers so they know what they're doing, what they're getting themselves into, and so that they don't regret their purchase, both financially and just in general. So if you have any questions at all, just drop a comment down below. I'd love to help you however I can. All right, let's get into the list. Just in case you're in a rush, I'm going to rapid fire the entire thing. I'm going to go through all of them at the beginning, and then we'll circle back and we'll go into more detail on each one. So let's go. All right, you got land transfer tax, you got your legal fees, you got your title insurance, home inspection, appraisal, CMHC insurance, you got your home insurance, you got closing adjustments, you got your utilities, and your moving costs. All right, if you missed any of that, don't worry, we'll be circling back. We're going to start with the first one, and usually the biggest one, which is land transfer tax. Now, when I first found out about land transfer tax, I thought it was a joke, but it's very real. Unlike the monsters under your bed, it's very real, and it is coming for you. Now, what it is, it's a provincial tax on the sale price of the home. So whenever you're buying a home, whenever there's any real estate changing hands in Ontario, it is subject to land transfer tax, and the bill falls on the buyer. Now, this is paid at closing. Closing is the day when you actually get the keys when you buy your home. You pay that in full, and your lawyer will help you handle that. They'll let you know exactly how much it is, and you pay it through them. Now, how much it costs will depend on the value of the home. More expensive homes will have a higher bill because it's a percentage, and it also depends on where you are. Toronto, for example, has two land transfer tax. It has provincial and municipal, so you want to make sure that you double check that. But to give you an example, in Hamilton, if you're purchasing a home that's around $700,000, which is fairly average, you're looking at a land transfer tax bill of around $10,000.
Oh my god, that's so much.
The good news is, if you are a first-time buyer, you can qualify for a rebate of up to $4,000 on that. Now, you want to make sure that you are eligible for that in advance before you budget around getting that rebate. You want to double check that you actually will be getting that and you're not going to be blindsided by an extra couple $1,000s that you weren't expecting. All right, cost number 2 is going to be your legal fees. It should come at no surprise that when you're buying a home, there's a lot of paperwork involved, and you're going to want to hire a lawyer to help you out with most of that paperwork. This isn't a step that you want to skip. If you do, you can end up costing yourself a lot more in the long run. So you want to make sure that you are hiring a real estate attorney when you buy a home. Now, the typical range can be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 for standard sales. It can be a little bit more if it's a more complex deal, but that's a fairly typical range you can expect. The lawyer is going to cover all the final paperwork. They're going to cover the title transfer. They're going to make sure there's nothing fishy going on with that home that you're buying as well. The next cost that you're going to have is going to be title insurance. Now, this is normally paid through your lawyer. A lot of that gets wrapped up into one legal bill, but it's helpful to have a bit of a breakdown so you know where your money's actually going. So the land transfer tax will be paid through your lawyer, and your title insurance as well will also be paid through your lawyer. Now, title insurance is just a one-time fee that protects against any liens on the property, any title defects, fraud, things like that that might be amiss with the home that you're buying. It's not too expensive. It's a couple $100. A range that you could expect is about $200 to $500. It'll be a little bit more on more expensive homes, but that's roughly the range you can expect, and it's going to help provide you with some peace of mind. Now, keep in mind that that is protecting the title. It's different from home insurance. That's just making sure that there's nothing wrong with the title, the actual ownership of that home, but it's not the home itself. If there's any damages with the home, that's a different thing. We'll get into that in a bit. All right, the next cost is your home inspection. Now, this is one that I don't recommend you ever skip. There might be a couple scenarios in which it makes sense to not put a home inspection, but in general, when you're putting an offer on a house, you want to put a home inspection condition if you can. This is just going to be a third-party check of the structure, the roof, the foundation. They're going to check all the systems, the electrical systems, the furnace. They're going to make sure that everything in the house is functioning properly, or at least that you're aware of things that might not be functioning properly or might need to be fixed at some point soon in the future. Now, the price again will depend on the size of the home, but it's typically around $300 to $600 for your home inspection. Now, when you would normally pay this is before the home actually becomes yours. And some people can view it as a sunk cost, because if you do get a home inspection and then you end up finding a bunch of problems and then you have to back out of the deal, then that could be a lot of money to be shelling that out a few times before you actually find a house that you end up buying. But in my opinion, it's money well spent, because if you buy something without a home inspection, you might end up shelling out tens of thousands of dollars to fix a bunch of stuff that the home inspection would have revealed. So normally how the process works is when you're buying a home, or you go out, you view a home that you like, you put in an offer, and one of the conditions in that offer will be a home inspection. What that does is it gives you maybe 5 to 10 days, depending on your time frame, to bring a home inspector through and check all the systems. And then if for whatever reason there's a problem and you want to back out of that deal, you're able to do it, and you can get your deposit back without being on the hook to buy that house. Now, if you put in an offer without an inspection condition and you decide later on that something with the home is wrong and you want to back out of the deal, you are no longer legally able to do so, and you could potentially be opening yourself up to getting sued. So that's why I always recommend you put one of these in there. All right, the fifth cost that you're going to want to keep in mind is an appraisal. Now, this isn't always applicable. It will depend on your mortgage lender if they want to have this included or not, but some of the lenders will want an appraisal done on the property so they can determine what the actual value of the home is. Similar to a home inspection, this can be around $300 to $600, and sometimes the lender will be the one who pays for it, and sometimes it will be used. So you want to make sure that you go over this with your mortgage broker. They'll be able to let you know if an appraisal is required and what you are expected to pay for, if anything. All right, really quick, if this video is helping you, then you're going to want to check out my free first-time homebuyer survival guide. It's linked down in the description. It's just going to walk you through everything that you need to know when buying your first home in Ontario. It includes everything from this video plus a lot more tips as well in details. So if you're at all interested in that, go check it out. All right, the sixth cost that you're going to want to be aware of when you're buying a home is your CMHC insurance. This is basically just mortgage default insurance. So you might have heard that when you're buying a home, you don't have to put the full 20% down, which is typically recommended. You can go as low as 5%. Now, while that is true, there are some stipulations for it. One of them is that if you do go less than 20% down, then you have to pay CMHC insurance, which what that is basically just going to be rolled into your monthly mortgage payment, and it's going to increase the amount that your mortgage ends up costing you every month. Now, it can sometimes go up by hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars, depending on how expensive the home you're buying is, how little you put down, and so on. This is something that you're going to want to check with your mortgage broker. Have them give you a detailed breakdown of exactly how much you're going to be paying every single month so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. All right, the next one, I know it's going to keep going, but the next cost in Ontario when you're buying a home is going to be home insurance. This one probably isn't that big of a surprise, and thankfully it's not really that expensive compared to some of the other things. It's really going to depend on your situation and where you're buying in Ontario, like which city you're buying in, which neighborhoods. There's a lot of factors that can affect it, like how close you are to a fire hydrant, crime rates in your particular neighborhood, that sort of thing. But it's probably going to be maybe $100 to $300 a month. But again, that number is going to vary a lot, so you're going to want to get yourself a detailed quote. All right, next we got one that is sometimes a bit of a shock until you get that final bill, but these are the closing adjustments. Now, what that is, it can be stuff like prepaid property taxes. So normally how it works is you pay your property taxes for the home in advance. So it can sometimes be quarterly, sometimes be for the entire year. And if the seller already paid for the year or for that quarter, you as the buyer have to reimburse them for the portion of time that they will no longer be living in the home. You have to now pay them back those property taxes that they paid to the government. This will depend on when you bought in the year, but it could be sometimes as much as $1,000, $1,500 plus dollars. So you want to take this into account and make sure that you're budgeting for it. All right, finally, we're on the last hidden cost, and that is going to be your moving week. What that is basically all the little costs that add up when you're moving into the new home. So that's going to be things like paying for movers. Depending on how much stuff you have to move, that can be a pretty decent bill. You're going to have to do any utility setups, setting up internet. You're going to also want to make sure that you change all the exterior locks the day that you move into the home, just because you don't know how many keys were in circulation from the previous owners of that home. So you want to make sure that you've just changed all the locks so that nobody has access to your home that you don't want them to. This is also going to be variable, but it's good to budget maybe $400 to $1,000 for this stuff just so that you are fully covered. Now, a little bonus tip for you, if you're buying a new build specifically, there's going to be some extra fees most likely in there that are contract specific. So I can't give you a range for those really. You're just going to want to make sure that you are reading through all the contracts and you know exactly what you're signing up for. All right, and there you have it. There is the full list. Now, I promised an easy to save version, so I'm gonna throw it up on the screen for you right there. Boom. All right, I hope you grabbed that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen for a couple more seconds, give you a chance to pause, take a screenshot of that. Now, if you want a little bit more detail or you want the entire process, again, download my free first-time home buyer survival guide. It's down in the description, totally free. Or if you have any questions about how to apply this to your specific situation, you can also book a free buyer consultation call with me. We can map out a strategy for your specific situation. I can answer any questions you have, and we can make sure that you're on the right track. Or if you'd prefer to just keep binge watching some content, check out this video right here in this nice little rectangle I'm making, and it's gonna have some more buying tips for you, or you can just hit that button over there to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the new videos. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.